Hello everyone, this is In-Game Art with another boxing of the offline product game review. This is Spyro the Reignited Trilogy, the 2019 reprint edition for the PlayStation 4, but being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy of Spyro the Reignited Trilogy, the reprint edition, comes with the update version 1.03 run on the disc, and I'm happy to say at the time of this video there were no updates available. Now like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I can't say my experience was 100% flawless, but the overall experience was pleasant to beginning to the very end, and I can't really point out some massive game-breaking bugs or issues. And as well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, you're probably a little confused if you're unaware. Activision did reprint the physical copy of Spyro the Reignited Trilogy for the PlayStation 4. This does include Spyro 1, Spyro 2, and Spyro 3 all on disc. When the game first came out, it only came with Spyro the first game, and then 2 and 3 had to be downloaded through an update. With this reprint, you do not need to download any update. All 3 games are on the disc. Frustratingly, the box art on the front of the game with this reprint did not remove the require content download logo at the bottom of the case. So it is still very confusing for some, and there I've seen some people still not believe that the game actually is a reprint. But I can assure you that this is a reprint of Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. Like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account. What this means is that when I turn on my PlayStation 5, I do not connect to the internet. My PlayStation 5 has never once connected to the internet. I operate with 2 PS5s, one is always online and one is offline always. And I play all my games on my offline PS5. So I do not do DLC, updates, microtransactions, or redeem codes. I only play what's on the disc, and I played this game completely offline. That means that I popped it in, I did not connect to the internet or download anything, and I did play Spyro 1, 2, and 3 completely offline just from the disc. Now normally and video wise, I try not to avoid spoilers, and I know if I own this kind of collection I would usually just show you the first game to avoid spoilers, but as you can see I'm going to jump directly to Spyro the Dragon, the Year of the Dragon, which is the 3rd game, which was not on the disc when the game first came out. Just to prove to you that everything you're seeing right now is me playing with my offline PlayStation 5. And as you can see, the game is fully functional and working to beginning and end, which is extremely nice to see. The only frustrating thing is, as I said, they did not remove the require content download from the box art, so there are many people who are still unaware about this reprint. There's not a lot of ways to know about this reprint. The only things you can do in terms of the US version is that there are 2 notable things. The first off is that if you get a brand new copy, the game comes with a special little promo and inside the box that promotes the Crash Bandicoot Team Racing. That was not in the original first print run. And as well as that, I will include a picture, but I also pointed out in my unboxing part of the video that the disc on the front of it will have 2018 and 2019 printed on top of the logo. This will tell you if you've gotten, let's say, a used copy, and you look at that disc at the front of it, you will see 2018 and 2019. If you see that on the front of the disc, that is a very high likely that you have the reprint version of Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. I do not know how many they printed, and it's unaware when they started doing it. But as I said, it's 2019, now we're in 2025, so I don't know how many copies are out there, and getting used copies is going to be, of course, a gamble. You're going to have to make sure that if you're going to use copy, that they're properly putting the right disc in there. So if you're buying from like GameStop, eBay, or any kind of used game market, you better make sure and verify with the seller what physical copy you're going to be getting. Now there is a PAL version as well, and they apparently have a special little logo at the bottom in the box. There's a logo that will tell you about it's the 2019 version. Now that is not present in the US version. And as well, I do want to point out, I have heard mixed messages between the Switch version that there is rumors that there is a reprint, and I have heard also there isn't. So it's really hard for me to say whether the Switch version has had a reprint. One of these days, I guess I'm going to have to do some dig hunting to see if I can find a reprint that there are still rumors going around. I have had people tell me there is, and I have had people tell me there isn't a reprint for the Switch. I will have to cover that eventually at some point. I can only speak about this PS4 version for the PlayStation 4. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't know about the Xbox version. That one maybe, but again, I don't really cover Xbox games simply because the Xbox requires an internet connection to connect the online to make an account, so you can't completely play an Xbox completely offline. So that's why I mostly cover PlayStation games. Now, I know this is long-winded. It's a lot of information I'm dumping on you. Like I said, I'll provide the pictures and everything like that so you can see information-wise. And while I have heard about the PAL version having the box art and the back of it saying 2019, I have heard rumors about the Switch version not being a reprint and being a reprint. It's very confusing, and I do not want to state something without me having the actual physical copy to prove it to you. So I'm just going to show you and talk about the PS4 version, because obviously I have played and tested this version, and I can 100% verify on this channel on In-Game Arts that this is a reprint version. Now, I can't control what sellers will send you, so the best things I can do is if you get a brand new copy and the disc hasn't came off its spindle, shake the case and you will hear a clicking sound, and generally that will let you know there's that little promo pamphlet about the Crash Team Racing. If you get a used copy, try to request them to show you the disc, and that way you can see the 2018 and 2019 printed on the logo of Spyro Reignited Trilogy on the disc. That is information for the US version. Now, for the collection, again, this is an amazing collection. I remember playing Spyro games back on the PlayStation 1, so getting this remake collection all on one disc was a pleasant surprise. I 100% completed the game. I did absolutely everything in the game. Now, that might confuse some people because some of the percentages are weird. You'll have like 117 or 114%, and then the second one will have like 100%, and the third game will have like 120%. It's weird numbers like that. Don't freak out thinking you're overlooking something. No, that's just how the original games were when they came out on PlayStation 1. They had these weird 100% numbers, which they made things confusing and hard whether you 100% did everything. But I did. I 100% did everything on 1, 2, and 3. I did all the skills as well. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't platinum them. I don't really go out of my way for trophies, but I'm close to being done with a lot of them in terms of trophies. So it's cool you can unlock all the trophies as well if you wanted to. This is an amazing collection if you can get this reprint version of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. These games are fun, some of the best 3D platformers back in the day, and even coming out and playing it again is just a gem to play them all over again. They still have held up the test of time. The controls are really good and interesting, though I do have some minor complaints, and I will point these out. First off, if you're wondering, playing on the PlayStation 5, the game does run at 30 frames per second. There is no changing this or updating this or anything like that. The game does run at 30 frames per second. As well as that, even though playing on the PlayStation 5, I did have some minor frame rate drops as well as some stuttering here and there. Not something major, and I think eventually you'll get kind of used to it, because eventually I kind of forgot about it, but I did eventually, when I started thinking about it, I started noticing at certain moments. Again, not that big of a deal, but it's noteworthy. As well as that, there are some significant load times, especially even playing on the PlayStation 5, that surprised me a little bit. I mean, this is not that big of a deal. I mean, it's like nitpicking, but if you've gotten used to playing games on PlayStation 5 and stuff like that, and you're used to very fast load times, I can see some people getting a little irked about how long sometimes the transitions between levels can be. As well as that, even though the game is a remake of the original games, there is still some occasional pop-in. At distance, like an enemy will randomly pop in at a distance, or a tree, or an object. Not that big of a deal, but again, I gotta point it out for you guys. As well as the camera control can be a little finicky, like sometimes the camera can be blocked or be a little wonky at times. So they didn't really fix the camera controls that much in the game from the game originally first released, so I can see some people getting little headaches with the camera controls at times. As well as that, cutscenes definitely seem to be running at a lower resolution because they're a bit on the blurry side. Not the end of the world or anything that was like complains that ruins the game, but you will notice it after running through the main game and how it plays, and then you get to a cutscene and it does look like it's a little blurry. Maybe this is just nitpicking for my part, but again, I wanted to include it in this video. As well as that, this is an interesting problem. while the game originally first came out on PlayStation 1, they didn't have like grass and stuff like that that you could see sprouting out of the ground. Everything was just a green that lets you know green ground means grass. With the grass, now gyms can be sometimes kind of hard to see, and it can be a little confusing where what last gyms you're overlooking, just because now where they place them, the grass can be sometimes covering up gyms. So I can see some people getting a little frustrated with that, and that's not what the original tent design was, because back in the day, when the game first came out, they didn't have that grass sticking up, so it was a little easier to find the gyms. Now playing in this remake, that grass can sometimes, or sometimes other environmental things can cover up the gyms and make it less unnoticeable. This could be a pro or con depending on the individual, but to me it got a little frustrating at times because I'm missing one gym and I just happened to come across this little stick of grass that was blocking it. As well as frustratingly, there's no fixing this. While the game controls, like the camera is normal, push up is up and pushing down is down for your camera, when you're flying or swimming, the controls are inverted. So if you push up, you go down. If you push down, you go up. There is no fixing this. This is just the way the controls are. I wish they would have provided a option for this out of all things to be able to fix. That seemed like a really good one to do. So it was very confusing at first. So if you're someone who's really picky about that stuff, bear that in mind. There's no fixing it. When you're flying, if you push up on the joystick, you go down. You push down on the joystick, you go up. This goes as well as swimming. And the next one is that this was an interesting little hiccup and bug. In the Mystic Marsh level, there was fetch quest where you had to grab one item, take it to another person. That person gives you an item, and you go take it to another thing to get another item to bring it to another person. It's one of those kind of quests. There was a point where you had to drop a radish or something like that into a pot, and it's supposed to spit out a coin. This coin was invisible for one time for me, and you could not see the coin. Though thankfully I knew where the coin landed, and it was still an asset, like an object in the environment. I was able to pick it up in my mouth, even though I could not see the coin physically in the level or its asset. So just keep that in mind. Just because you don't see the coin come out, then that doesn't mean the coin isn't there. You just run around that area, around the pod or a little away from it, and eventually you'll pick it up in your mouth. I mean, it happened once on me, and then I tried to reload my save, and then I tried redoing it again, and it didn't do it a second time. So maybe that was a random fluke on my part, but just keep that in mind. And that's about it. Everything else ran relatively good. The missions were finished, was fun. The run around gameplay was smooth, as I said, other than the slight stutters and 30 frames per second. Which, again, doesn't really affect me or bug me. I'm not a frame rate person. All I really care about is steady frame rate. I don't care if a game is 30. Sure, this game should easily be running at 60 frames per second on a PlayStation 5, but what I care about is steady frame rate. And that's my key point. And the game does still run fairly darn smooth on the PlayStation 5. It's just not really optimized for PlayStation 5. That's probably why you get a little couple stutters, a little hiccups here and there. Not that big of a deal. I'm just super happy that whoever was in charge, whether it was from Activision or Toys for Bob, who insisted on getting this game, getting a reprint to include all 3 games on one disc, is MVP, VIP, whatever you call it, the gamer of gamers, to make sure that this game got a new physical copy. I just wish that they could have included more information on the box art so it made it a little easier to find. But in the end, I'm still super happy about this reprint. I'm more than happy to have this physical copy on my shelf. These games are legendary. They're one of the best platformers in the world, personally. I love them. I particularly love Spyro more than Crash Bandicoot. Not by much. I love them both, but I just love the snarkiness of Spyro. I love the presentation, the gameplay, and the overall flow of the experience, where it's just fun to gather up all these gems and do all these little side quests and stuff like that, like doing the skateboarding as you just seen, or among other little missions. Other than the water levels. I hate the water levels. But that's a bane on every game. But again, this game was gorgeous to play. It was fun to go back and run through it again. I've covered this game on PlayStation 4. This is my first time running through the game from almost, like, 5 years since the last time I played it, and it was still a gem to play it all over again. I'm super happy about this reprint. I'm super happy about this remake. It's done a marvelous job for it. I'm just a little disappointed when the game first came out. I don't want to name names or anything like that, but it lowered the IQ of a lot of people about physical copies, because I know that there was a lot of people arguing, saying that it's impossible to fit these 3 games on disc, and I knew very well all 3 games could easily fit on disc. It's all just about compression, optimization, and just properly putting it on, developing a game and putting it on disc. And it cracks me up, because all these people saying it's impossible, here it is. Here's an actual reprint of the game with all 3 games on disc. So the fool is you for thinking that this was impossible, that Activision was not at fault for releasing the game ahead of time and not waiting to release the game so that way it can have all 3 games at day 1. But in the end, it kind of worked out, because now we have this reprint. It has the updates on the disc. So it's a fully updated version of the game. So there's literally nothing wrong with this physical copy. It's what we would perfectly want for a physical copy collecting. So like always, I will try to leave links down in the description if you're instant copy. I can't really tell you whether the seller is going to send you the reprint version. I will provide links, but I have no control what the seller will send you. The best thing you could probably do is like go into a used market, whether go on GameStop or go into eBay or something like that, and see if you can look at the disc or contact the seller to see if you can get a verification of the 2018 and 2019 printed on the disc. But if you do get a brand new copy, as I said, shake the case. Hopefully the disc is not off a spindle, and you should hear a minor clicking sound, because that's the little pamphlet bouncing around up and down. That's the only best help I can help you in terms of finding a reprint version in the US version anyway. So like always, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this and just being patient with me, and so I can cover these games and provide the best information. As I've always said, I'm sure that there's going to be corrections and points out, but in this channel, I like to be able to verify it myself. I will point out certain informations, but I want to make sure I can provide you 100% proof of information in these videos. That way I'm not going by hearsay, because sometimes people love chaos. They like to spread false information and stuff like that, and it's just frustrating. So anyway, I love to try to provide you the best information. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I should be the one-stop of every channel of this kind, but my goal was always try to provide you the best, safe, and informative information on physical copies and offline gaming. So like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next unboxing video. Bye-bye!